have fearless energy. The whole universe is their background. They have an incredible connection to spirit, whatever you want to call it, God, creator. They know more about the universe and creation and the history of the earth than any of us can imagine. So, thus they're a bit of a threat. And so we can talk about that. You really think about it, they've transcended disease, so they would be a threat to the pharmaceutical companies. They've transcended war. They're a threat to the war industry. They work in universal peace. They have fearless energy technology, so they're a definite threat to the oil industry. And we've pretty much seen what the oil industry has brought to us. So anyway, we have a lot of people in the UFO community that are bought and sold by these major corporations, and they owe their allegiance not to truth and not to humanity, but to, the major corporations. And I've seen this before. I've gone on radio shows where there's been a total hatchet job to try to discredit us, and they end up looking very bad because the overwhelming evidence and proof and the call-ins have just, totally made them look a little bit ridiculous, and they end up assassinating their own character. But anyway, it's a very sad situation. We've invited all of the UFO community. We've sent them the video clips, the information about the witnesses, the physicists, the triple PhD Boeing engineers, the Skunk Works people, everybody that's come to the ranch, the Air Force base commanders, air traffic controllers, pilots, people from all walks of life that have come here and have seen the ships and have gone on record. They have access to all this information, but for some odd reason, they have no desire to come out and see for themselves or even report on it. So we have sent this information about the flyover with the 200 witnesses and, the physicists that filmed it. This is all on record. We sent it to all the major talk show hosts. It's a done deal, and we send it redundantly to them and haven't even heard a peep back. So that should tell you something. Anyway, and to make a long story short, that's basically the nuts and bolts of things. It is very sad that the UFO community is divided, and there's a lot of I just say people that are caught up in their own self-importance versus just bringing out the truth. And here at Eddie SETI, we share all of our evidence. We don't hold back anything. We don't copyright it or the only time we have an issue if somebody uses our footage and then puts their message to it and turns it into a negative situation, then we might step in and say, please, take our footage out of your story. But that's about it. But we share all the evidence here, and we have a mountain of evidence. So it's just, if anybody really wants to know what's going on, I would suggest doing your own investigation. Don't wait for people, the major people in the UFO community or the major talk shows or anybody, even the governments. Don't wait for them to tell you it's okay to believe in UFOs. Do your own investigation. Spend some time. Go out at night. Watch the skies. Get a computer. Look up heavens above and J-Tracker. See what satellites are flying over. Usually there's only 1 to 2 or 3 that are visible. And when you see 30 or 40 or 50 or 150 things flying around there doing weird maneuvers and powering up, it's pretty obvious that we're not being, told the truth right now.
Okay, our next question is, I have heard that George Norrie has said that he was coming to the ranch. Has he ever come?
Oh, unfortunately, no. What's interesting with George, hang on just a second, is, I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if his email's getting censored or his producers are censoring it or what the story is, but we have sent him the footage. We have sent him the testimonials. We have had all kinds of things happen, here that we've sent, and we haven't heard a peep. And so that is an ongoing question that comes to us again and again and again. They have an open invitation to come out to the ranch and see for themselves, even do a live broadcast if they want. Nothing's changed. There was a little bit of a problem there when I refused to to validate Ed Grimsley's War in Space because, I couldn't validate the war in space because we're not seeing that here. I can only validate my own experience and what I'm seeing. And we aren't seeing ships getting blown up. We aren't seeing debris falling down, dead aliens. We're not seeing any of this happen here. We're just seeing ships flying around, recognizing each other, no major exchanges or explosions or anything. And so I can only validate what we've experienced here. And although there was one time a long time ago, it looked like there was an exchange between two ships quite a few years ago. And, and I'm not saying this isn't happening, but because I couldn't validate it, I was supposed to go on coast to coast, and I sat by the phone waiting all night long, and lo and behold, I was not granted, the interview for some reason. So I basically had to send out a thing to the news list on people why I didn't come on coast to coast after we told them I was coming on. So I don't have any answers for that. I've asked for answers. I still haven't gotten any answers. A big mess was made out of it by other people in the UFO business, ufologists, you might say. Basically, that's what happened. I was invited to come on the show. I sat by the phone, and phone didn't ring. That was about it, and that's all I can say about that. But I'm not into the fear and sensationalism. This is a very spiritual thing that's happening here. It's very benevolent, and it's awesome. It's an awesome experience, and I guess we can create whatever reality we want to. If we want to see a huge war and body parts and all these other things, we can project that into the situation or find it. It could be happening somewhere else.
Okay, our next listener wants to know what is up with all these solar flares and coronal mass ejections that are happening, and how do they affect us?
Okay, that is a show in itself, but I'll try to give the breakdown on it. The bottom line is that this is an event. It's a cycle that we're going through, and it's a solar cycle 24, but it's even much bigger than that. The Mayans talk about this cycle. But it's quite an event, and it's going to get even stronger. When these flares go off, we have to realize that all we see is the light and maybe measure the energy. We can't measure the consciousness, and whenever we have light and energy, there's consciousness that comes along with it. And there's, you might say, a plan that's coming with this consciousness, this energy, this light. And that's the best way I can explain it. If you understand the vibration continuum, it goes from consciousness to light to energy to mass. And so we are being coded, you might say. We are receiving information that's creating change. So we have these bioelectric fields around the human body, these bands of energy around the human body. And Bruce Lipton talks about this. He said the DNA is rather more referred to as the gonads of the body. It's the replicator of the body. It's not the part that creates change. The change comes from the outside of the cell, the antenna of the cell, which actually pick up unseen energies or unseen information that comes in that creates change in the DNA. So basically, yogis who do a lot of intense spiritual work have changes in their DNA. This is a known fact. More codons get activated, more lines start opening up. And I can go further than this. Every time a DNA line opens up, we get an attribute like telepathy, or the salamander gene might activate. We start regenerating. There's direct knowing is one of them, where we just know what's happening around us. We can know forward or backward or any information we want. We just have it with us. And we can also learn to teleport and bilocate and things of that nature when more of the DNA is activated. And this isn't junk DNA we have in our body. It's DNA that is inactive, and it's being activated right now. So that is the process. The solar flares, when they go off, they affect the bioelectric fields around the human body. They create incredible mood swings, you might say, emotional outbursts, real highs, where you're totally blissed out, and then followed by lows where you're might get really lethargic or tired, little anger outbursts sometimes. It really affects your mental and emotional body intensely and creates changes. And then what's in your fields, as this energizes your fields and you're releasing this lower vibrational energy, your fields are actually rising up into a higher frequency. And you're having more access to higher consciousness and energy. And you're actually accessing more of what we call your blue body, which is the perfect incarnation, the plan, you might say, or the blueprint for the perfect incarnation. It's your whole and healthy, perfect self, you might say. And so we are being lifted, you might say, into aligning with the higher consciousness and energy that is bombarding us. So we are being bombarded. The Earth's shields are down right now. We're being bombarded by cosmic energies, gamma rays, all these different high-frequency rays, which are realms in themselves. If you follow the electromagnetic light spectrum, you'll see the different realms, and these realms are bombarding the Earth right now. So basically, we are going through a massive shift. We're going through a vibrational lifting and awakening and healing. And those who are preferring to hang out in the denser consciousness, we've seen prime examples of just reckless, unbridled greed at the expense of humanity and nature. This is all coming up to the surface, so we can see it. We can see what's going on. So just pay attention to yourself and come into alignment. Focus on love and joy and bliss. Release the past and allow this energy to take you where it can. That's the most important thing. We are going to have, after these huge solar flares or coronal mass ejections, the first thing it's going to hit is the bioelectric fields. If you're really sensitive, you're going to feel the first rays because they come in very fast. And so you'll see a lot of agitation and shifts in your emotional and mental body. And then as it comes in, becomes stronger, comes in more, the denser energy comes in, you'll start to see erratic weather, just crazy weather patterns. And as the Earth absorbs more of it, you're going to see earthquake and volcanic activity. And this is a formula I've given to people back in the 80s, I believe, the early 80s. I've talked about this and actually written it in the book. But, it's the bottom line is when these solar flares go off, it's going to create societal changes, individual changes in relationships with, your job, the people around you, your mates, everything. It's going to create a lot of change on that level. And it's going to create some crazy weather and an increase in volcanic and earthquake activity. And we just had a series of 3 major CMEs that have impacted the Earth. And just go to the USGS site, and check out the earthquake activity. The whole Earth is just shaking and rocking and rolling right now. And just look at your surroundings around you. Look at your family and friends and your job, your workplace, your marketplace, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to see people are either just really riding this and really blissed out, and some people are going to be projecting and blaming and going in a whole different direction. So, there's as many realities unfolding as there are individuals.
Okay, right now there is an astrological configuration that is referred to as the Cardinal Cross. It involves the heavy-hitting planets of Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Pluto, and Mars, and it just had its peak last week. In your